Africa she was from? Berber. So it's one of the clan within the north of Africa. And Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam used to respect her, of course. Imam Kadhim alayhi salatu wasalam used to respect her too. So you can see like how honorary figure she was. And now, before Imam Kadhim was born, two of his elder brother were already there, namely Abdullah and Ismail. But even then, when Imam Kadhim alayhi salatu wasalam was born, there was a different type of happiness. Why? Because the Imam, after the Imam Sadiq, was born. So you can see the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam were elated. They were really Kadhim alayhi salatu wasalam, he took him through and he introduced him to the companions that were there. And after this, I think for 2 or 3 days, Imam alayhi salatu wasalam had a da'wat, had open food for the people to come and eat in the honor of Imam Kadhim alayhi salatu wasalam. Now, during the time of Imam, now why is it important? Now, one of the questions that might come into your mind, that why is it important for us that we need to go through the histories and the biographies of Imam alayhi salam? This was an important topic, and I should have mentioned that earlier, but it's not a problem. I can mention it now. Why is it important for us to go through their biographies, right? One of the most fundamental reasons is that we, as people, we need someone that we can look into, that we can look after, and we can decide that this is the personality that we need to follow. It's a common human sensical thing, right? Why is it so? Look, for me, I need to have a symbol. I need to revere a personality. I need to look into the figures that I need to follow, so that can motivate me in my life. Imagine, I'm not sure about the gyms here, but back you go in Pakistan and India, where you have gyms there, you would always have the pictures of the people, of the bodybuilders that have great build, that have great body, right? So while you're exercising, while you are like trying to make your body better, you're also looking at their pic. And why were you doing that? While you're exercising, it's difficult to lift weights. It's difficult to do exercises, right? But all that motivation would come in when you see the figure, when you see the picture of the figure right in front of you, and you would say that I want to be like him. And if I want to be like him, I need to practice it more. I need to do the hard work. I need to lift up the weights. Likewise, we all in our common life, we need to have respectful personalities that we can look after. Now, some of the symbols that our young generation are revering are the sports people. Let's suppose someone is revering Ronaldo, someone is revering Roberto Carlos, someone is revering any cricketer, right? So you have people revering the sports figure. You have people revering the actors. You have people revering actresses, right? So our symbols are generally the people that are from showbiz industry, the people that are from sports industry, right? And then we want to look like them. We want to have a haircut that resembles them. We want to wear the brands that they are wearing. We want to wear the watch that they are wearing, right? So all those things that they are doing, we want to do the same, right? So it is within the human that they want to follow someone in their common lives, right? So the reason that we are bringing the biographies of Imam, the reason that we are discussing the histories of Imam is for us, is for our youth, that they should know that they have someone to look into, that they have someone to look up when they want to follow someone, when they want to enact themselves in a way that when they are into the society, they deem themselves as perfect. How would they do so? If they are following someone who is infallible, if they are following someone who is perfect, if they are following someone who is free from error. That's why it is important for us. Why? Because we need to learn the histories of Imam. We need to learn about their etiquettes. We need to learn how they used to deal with their wives, how they used to deal with their moms and dads, how they used to deal with the common society. When we have this right education, when we have this right history, we would be able to enact ourselves, to act upon their uswa, upon their way that they used to live their lives. This is important for us to remember, that why are we going through the lives of Imam alayhi salatu wassalam. Now, so 128 Hijrah, Imam Qadim alayhi salatu wassalam is born. His kunyat is what? Kunyat is like as a sign of respect, right? So like, I don't call you by your name. In all Arab days, as a sign of respect, they wouldn't call you by your name. They would call you by kunyat. Kunyat is anything that you would be saying someone as you are father of someone, or you are daughter of someone, or you are son of someone, or you are brother of someone. So it's a sign of respect that you don't name the person directly. You call them through this relationship, right? So Imam, the kunyat of Imam was what? Abul Hassan, right? So Abul Hassan is the kunyat of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Abul Hassan is the kunyat of whom? Imam Qadim alayhi salatu wassalam. Abul Hassan is the kunyat of Imam Rada, and also of Imam Ali Naqi alayhi salatu wassalam. So 4 Imams, they all have the kunyat, or they all were being called Abul Hassan, right? So Imam Qadim's kunyat was Abul Hassan, and that's why when you see in the books of the history, or in the books of the hadith, when someone is mentioning Imam Qadim, they usually say Qala Abul Hassan, that Abul Hassan alayhi salatu wasalam has said this. Likewise, the kunyat of Imam was also Abu Ibrahim, right? So 2 kunyat that you can remember, and these were the 2 main kunyats that were there. So Imam lived with Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam for 20 years. So from 128 Hijrah to 148 Hijrah, Imam was living with his life with whom? With Imam Sadiq. On 148 Hijrah, in 148 Hijrah, Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam was martyred, right? He was martyred by whom? He was martyred by Mansur ad-Dawaniqi. Remember the name, Mansur. He was one of the most tyrant ruler that have ruled within Banu Abbas. You know, there are some figures. Banu Abbas generally were not good people. But within Banu Abbas, there were some figures that were worse. They were really, really bad, right? So one of the figures that would come into your mind is Mutawakkil. One of the figures that might come into your mind is Harun. Likewise, one of the figure that was really bad was whom? Mansur ad-Dawaniqi, right? So Mansur was the emperor, or was the ruler of the time when Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam was martyred. And when Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam was martyred, he was martyred by whom? By Mansur ad-Dawaniqi. Mansur ad-Dawaniqi was responsible for killing Imam Sadiq, right? He gave something in the food, and that food, a poison was given in the food. And then when Imam Sadiq consumed that food, or when Imam Sadiq used that thing that was given to him, obviously he couldn't survive and he left this world. So when Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam was being martyred, before he was about to leave this world, he left the wasiyah, he left the inheritance. See, when you are leaving the inheritance, you generally keep someone in charge of that. So let's suppose, may Allah preserve the families, may Allah preserve the fathers, right? But generally, if father is going, right, and if he's leaving the world, and if he has some inheritance, and if he has some financial things to look after, and if he has some stuff to take care of, right? See, he would appoint a successor. He would appoint a wasi. We call it in fiqh what? Wasi. So that wasi, or the successor, would be appointed. And that successor would be responsible to execute. That person would be responsible to take care of whatever things that person who is deceased is leaving, and to distribute them and to take care of them in the best possible way. So when Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam was leaving, so Imam would only leave an Imam as his wasi. Keep this thing in your mind. So when Imam Hussain was going, who was his wasi? Imam Zainul Abidin. He was his successor. When Imam Zainul Abidin was going, who was his successor? Imam Baqir. When Imam Baqir was going, who was the successor? Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam. But at that time, Imam Sadiq knew if he would name the successor explicitly, look, implicitly he would name. He would have his close companions that would know who is the Imam after Imam Sadiq. That's for sure, right? We have so many reports that testify that Imam Qadim is the Imam after Imam Sadiq. That was within the close companion. That was within the close circle. But for the general public, and especially for the rulers, for the tyrants that were ruling at that time, Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam act cleverly. He just didn't appoint Imam Qadim. Why? Because Imam Sadiq knew that if he would appoint Imam Qasim only, then Mansur, who was the ruler of the time, would kill the successor, and the imama or the imamate at that time would obviously won't survive. So what Imam Sadiq did at that time, that when he was leaving this world, he appointed 5 successors. And you know who he named it? He named Imam Qasim, firstly, Abdullah, the brother of Imam Qasim, as the second, Humayda, the mother of Imam Qasim alayhi salatu wasalam, as the third successor. Fourth successor was who? Was the governor of Medina. He was appointed as a successor. Fifth successor was whom? Mansur ad-Dawaniqi. Now, when the news reached to Mansur ad-Dawaniqi that Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam was killed, now see the hypocrisy of this guy. He was just like, oh, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. That's not good, whatever happened. And may Allah bless the soul of Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam. The next question he asked was what? Who is his successor? Who is the successor of Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam? Now you would get what Imam Sadiq did, right? He said, who is the successor? The people said, we need to investigate it further. They went for the investigation. And guess what? If Imam Qasim was the successor, Mansur said, whoever is the successor of Imam Sadiq, kill him, behead him. So this was a really difficult time. At that time, Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, the thing he did cleverly by appointing 5 successors, he was being told, oh, Mansur, Imam Sadiq has appointed 5 successors. And within those 5 successors, the governor of Medina that you have appointed is one of them. And also he has named you as the successor. So obviously he can kill himself. He can kill the governor of Medina, who was one of his close associates, right? So at that moment, he wasn't able to do anything with Imam Qasim. So Imam Qasim alayhi salatu wasalam, his life was preserved. His life was being taken care properly by whom? By Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam at that moment. So from 158 to around 148, Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam left this world. 158 Hijrah, Mansur ad-Dawaniqi was the ruler of the government of that time. From 158 till 168 Hijrah, right? There was another ruler that came in, or 169 Hijrah. The name of the ruler was Mihdi, right? At that time too, during that time, he came in 164 Hijrah. Now, you don't have to remember the dates, but just to give you the context and just to let you know that how Imam was spending his life and how Imam was looking after the stuff at that moment, we need to understand the rulers that were at that time, right? So at that time, 158 Hijrah, Mehdi came in. Now, you see the irony here. These people would call themselves Mehdi, would call themselves Rashid, would call themselves Hadi, would call themselves like Mutawakkil, Mu'tasim. These are all lofty names. Mansur means what? Mansur was not his real name. Mansur means someone who's successful, who's been given success by Allah, right? It's a lofty name. It's a good name. But even then, whatever good name they had, they were using that good name in bad senses, right? They were using it for the wrong purposes at that time. So likewise, Mehdi means what? One who is being guided, right? So the ruler came in, he used to call himself as Mehdi, right? He ruled it for 10 years, from 158 all the way till 160 or 169 Hijrah, 10 to 11 years. In 164 Hijrah, he came for the Hajj. When he came in and when he saw how much people respect Imam Qasim alayhi salatu wassalam, he got really jealous. And when he got jealous, he arrested Imam. Imagine, because of the jealousy he has, he arrested Imam. And when Imam was being arrested, he was taken from Medina. And from Medina, he was taken to the capital of the government there at that moment. And then he was being kept under house arrest or under the prison for 1 year. And obviously, the Shias of that time were obviously intimidated, were obviously fearful for the life of Imam. So one of the Shia also went and met Imam. And obviously, he wasn't happy with whatever was happening. But Imam had the knowledge of unseen. Imam had the knowledge of Allah, whatever knowledge Allah has given to the Imam. So Imam said, don't worry. After a year, you would see me meeting you at the same place Imagine, Imam even knew about the precise time that he would be getting back. He said, that's not my time for me to get martyred right now. I would still come back. And when I would still come back, I would meet you at the same right place where I'm having the communication with you. So you see, this is the knowledge of Imam. We need to be really respectful when it comes to dealing with Imam. We just can't say, oh, Imam was just someone who had more knowledge than us. No, he had absolutely, like, you can't even compare your knowledge to the knowledge of Imam. Knowledge of Imam comes from Allah, and knowledge of Imam can never be untrue. It would always be precise. It would always be transparent. It would always be correct. While our knowledge is prone to error. Our knowledge might be correct few times, might be incorrect a lot of times, but the knowledge of Imam is always correct. It's always infallible. Our knowledge is always fallible, right? So this is the difference, right? So within a year, Imam came back. Anyways, Mehdi was obviously, he died around 169 Hijrah. After 169 Hijrah, another guy came in. His name was Hadi. Hadi ruled for a year and few months. After this, he died too. And then at 170 Hijrah, Harun al-Rashid came in. Now this is the crux of the problem. Harun al-Rashid. You know, Harun was his name. Al-Rashid is the title that's been given to him. Al-Rashid means someone who is being guided. You know, we say Qatil. Qatil means someone who is being killed. Shaheed, someone who is being martyred. Rashid. Rashid means someone who is being guided. So imagine someone who claims he's being guided by Allah. Someone who claims he's divinely guided. Imagine the way he used to treat Imam. You know, all those things that you hear, all those prisons that you hear, that Imam went to this prison, Imam went to that prison, it was because of Harun al-Rashid. Right? So what happened was that around 179 Hijrah, I'll just go quickly. Initial years, what happened was between 170 to 179 Hijrah, Harun was pretty much busy in dealing with the internal issues that he has to go through within his own dynasty. Because see, when you are running a government, you probably would have some enemies. You will probably have some friends. While you have some enemies, you have to fight against them too, so that you are still ruling. So Harun al-Rashid was going through some internal struggle. Some people internally were trying to rebel against him. So he was trying to deal with those rebellious attitude. Second thing was that he was trying to build the city of Baghdad. See, Baghdad is an old city, but at that time it was not as the way you see now, right? It was built by whom? Harun al-Rashid. So that's just a common knowledge for you, that Harun al-Rashid was responsible for the construction of the city called Baghdad. So Harun al-Rashid was busy doing these two work. While he was busy, he didn't get time to confront Imam within that 9 years, 170 to 179 Hijrah, right? Within those 9 years, Imam had the chance. And I would say Imam had the chance, or Imam had the opportunity. It doesn't mean absolutely. It means within a time, within a given frame, within a given limit, Imam was able to do some stuff that he was supposed to do, right? So Imam would do tabligh, Imam would do a lot of good actions, and you see that Imam has done a lot. Imam was called what? Some of the alqab that we need to remember is what? Imam was called Qadim. Now, some of the learning that we can have. Imam was called Qadim. Why? Because Imam had the ability that when he would get angry, look, being angry or feeling angry is natural. If you're not feeling angry, you're not a human being. All of us get angry. Islam doesn't say that you don't get angry. Yeah, you should get angry. Islam has a problem the way you express your angriness. Look, if I'm getting angry, if I'm not liking something, it's completely fine. It's not a problematic thing. Problem comes in when you express that anger in a negative way. Imagine if I don't like something, if I don't like a food, someone has done such a hard work cooking that. Imagine your mom, she spent 2 hours cooking the food and she has given in front of you, and for some reason you're not liking it. You're just getting a little bit angry, you're just getting a little bit frustrated, and food is not that good the way I was expecting. My expectation was this. The food is like this. What should I do right now? You're getting angry within your heart, right? Do you have to express your angriness? Here, Here you have to follow Imam Qadim. Imam Qadim alayhi salatu wassalam, there was a governor of Medina. He used to be really disrespectful to Imam. And he would not only be disrespectful to Imam, he would also abuse Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wassalam. So imagine abusing Amir al-Mu'mineen, being disrespectful to Ahlul Bayt, being disrespectful to Imam Qadim alayhi salatu wassalam. And when companions would look into it, the companions of Imam, the close companions of Imam, when they would look into it, they would obviously get really aggravated. They would obviously get really angry. And they would say to Imam that, oh Imam, we should go and we should reply him. And we should reply him in our own way. You know, when we say our own way, which means that we might have to go and we might have to use our hands, or we might just have to say some more stuff. So this was the thinking that they had. So Imam said, no. Don't say to him anything. Let me go and handle it properly. So Imam went to him, and Imam met him at his farmland. Imagine, he was working in his farmland. He was working in his own garden. Imam went to see him, and then Imam had a really good conversation. A conversation that Imam wanted him to get impressed by the akhlaq of Imam. Imam wanted to show the akhlaq of Ahlul Bayt, that how polite Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam are when it comes even dealing with their own enemies, right? Imams were polite. And why were Imams polite? So that they can have the hujjah upon the enemy, so that they can establish the proof on enemy that, oh enemy, oh you the person that disrespect Ahlul Bayt, you need to understand who Ahlul Bayt are. And once the hujjah has been established, once the proof has been established, and even then they would left the animosity within them, then at that moment, obviously we have a different ruling. But unless or until the hujjah has not been established, unless or until Imam have not introduced himself properly the way Imam wanted to, Imam would not say to him any word. So Imam went to him, Imam talked to him. And when Imam was talking, he realized and he got embarrassed. And when he got embarrassed, it was just like, oh, and he would have said this, that, oh Imam, I used to say so bad stuff about you and about your Jad, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salatu wassalam. But you, instead of getting angry and instead of showing that angriness in a really negative way, you came to me and you talked to me in such a respectful way. Now I know who Ahlul Bayt are. And then he obviously was really influenced, and he obviously got really, really happy and really, really like someone who was really impressed by the akhlaq of Imam. So what is the learning for us? Learning for us is that, oh brothers and sisters that are listening to this lecture, imagine once you get it, like imagine someone abusing you. That's so difficult to control, right? But our Imams alayhimus salams are the holy progeny of Ahlul Bayt. They have taught us that even if you're dealing with these kind of people, be respectful to them. Establish the hujjah. If you see someone abusing you, if you see someone abusing your family, establish the hujjah. Ask them, why are you doing it, brother? Have I done anything wrong? Have my family done anything wrong? Or have my brother done anything wrong? If they have done anything wrong, I apologize on their behalf. I apologize if I have done anything wrong. But if we haven't done anything wrong, I can explain you why you're being angry. I can explain you what is our reasoning that we did whatever we did. And once you have established the hujjah, after establishing the hujjah, I'm pretty sure if someone who's just not looking animosity for the sake of animosity, right? They would obviously get impressed by your akhlaq, and a time might come in that they would not have the same hatred and animosity that they would have for you. Likewise, if you are not liking anything, and if you're getting frustrated on few things, just don't express that in a negative way. Try to keep your calm. Try to keep your emotions down. Try to control your emotions and say, oh Imam Qadim, oh Imam Musa ibn Ja'far, I follow you. And I would take care of my anger the way you would take care of. Likewise, Imam was called Abdul Salih. Abdul Salih is what? Someone who is really pious. Someone, say, Urdu mein kehte hain, neek banda. Absolutely neek. Someone who is really, really pious. God-fearing person. Why? Because Imam would go for the ibadah, Imam would go into the sujood and would be in the sujood, would be in the prostration, would be in sajda after the sunrise till the time of Zuhr. Imagine, when is the sunrise happening right now? Sunrise is happening around 7ish. And when is the Zohar time? Around 12:30. Man, imagine, and I'm talking about in the winter time. Maybe in the summertime, it just gets bigger and bigger. But at least for 5 hours, at least for 6 hours, Imam would be in prostration and Imam would be communicating to Allah. Oh Allah, and whatever the desires of Imam was, whatever the communication Imam used to have, right? This shows, this shows how important for us it is for us to be intact when it comes in our ibadah. We need to be respectful when we go and we pray. We need to preserve our prayers. We need to do the proper hifadha of whatever good deeds that we are doing. And we need to be really God-fearing, and our respect that we need to give to the Creator, we need to give it to Allah. That should always be with us for our whole life. Coming back to the main topic, in 179th of Hijrah, around 20th of Dhul Hajj, Harun al-Rashid obviously sent someone. He went to the Medina, and when he went to Medina, he talked to the Prophet and he said, "Oh Prophet, as much respect I have for you, but I have to take Musa bin Ja'far from your progeny because he's responsible, or he would be responsible for the bloodshed within the Ummah, within the Islamic nation. He would be responsible for whatever bad thing that would happen. So just to prevent him doing it, I am taking him in the prison." So imagine he taking Imam. And how was being Imam taken? It was 20th of Shawwal, 179th of Hijrah. Imam was praying in Masjid al-Madinah, in Masjid al-Nabawi. While he is praying, the people or the soldiers that were being sent, the police that was being sent to arrest Imam, they even didn't bother for Imam to finish his prayers. They even didn't bother for Imam to go back and meet his family. They just arrested Imam from Medina, from the Masjid al-Nabawi. And when he was being arrested, he was taken away. Imagine Imam being taken away without meeting his family, without meeting the close people, without meeting the close companions. 179 Hijrah, he was being taken. And then he was taken into different prisons. There were two prisons that there were two places that he was taken to. Firstly, he was being taken to Basra. He was taken into the prison of Isa ibn Ja'far. Isa ibn Ja'far, even if you don't remember the name, he was one of the close companion of whom? Of Harun al-Rashid. He was a close associate of Harun al-Rashid. Harun al-Rashid sent Imam to Isa ibn Ja'far in Basra. So Imam was there around a year. And then from that place, Imam was being sent to Baghdad. Within Baghdad, Imam had to go to 3 different prisons. Firstly, he went to the prison of Fadl bin Rabi', right? Fadl bin Rabi'. But when Fadl bin Rabi' saw who Imam was, when Fadl bin Rabi' saw that how Imam used to pray, how Imam used to worship Allah, and how good he was in his conduct, obviously Harun al-Rashid, as much as he wanted from his close people to kill Imam, they wouldn't agree. Why wouldn't they agree? Because when would they see the akhlaq of Imam? They would be like, if someone who is as God-fearing as Musa bin Ja'far, how can we go and how can we kill him so easily? It's a lesson for us, brothers. Even the staunchest of your enemy, even the staunchest of the enemy would give the shahada, would give the testimony that you are a good person if you are really good in your conduct, if you're really good in your akhlaq. So here, you have to, I'm not saying impressing others, but you have to do the tabligh of Imam. You have to take care of the tabligh through your actions. As Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam says, Kunu du'atan bighayri al-sunatin. That be our source of preaching for us, not through your tongue, but through your actions. Right? So when you are going into this society, from now, this time onwards, consider yourself as ambassadors of Imam. Consider yourself as an ambassador of Imam Qadim alayhi salatu wassalam. So Fadl bin Rabi, then he had to go to the 3rd prison called Fadl bin Yahya al-Barmaki. 3rd prison he went to. And finally, no one could do him anything there. Then finally, he went to the prison of Sindi bin Shahiq. Sindi bin Shahiq, la'natullahi alayhi, you know, the difficult part, and inshallah, that's not the musibah part. It's a musibah part, of course. But I'm just giving you as a general knowledge. When he was taken to Sindi bin Shahiq, Sindi bin Shahiq whipped him 100 times. Imagine. 100 times Imam was being whipped. जैसे उर्दू में बोलते हैं कोड़े लगाना. Imam was being whipped so badly 100 times. For what reason? For no reason, but he was trying to resist the tyranny of the time. Harun al-Rashid. Lesson for us: never be subservient, never be faithful to the tyrant leader of your time. Be it the people that are killing the Muslims in Palestine, be it the people that are killing the Muslims in Bahrain, be it the people that are killing the Muslims in Saudi Arabia, be it the people that are killing Muslims in Iraq, the Shias in Iraq, the Shias in Bahrain, right? All those tyrant leaders, we need to be resisting towards them. And how would we be resistful towards them? Through our tongue, through our actions, not necessarily by force, through our words. We can at least educate our people. Imam Ali has said that be an enemy to an oppressor and be a friend to an oppressed person, right? So keep that thing in your mind. Finally, Imam was being executed on 25th of Rajab. He was given a poison. And obviously when he was given poison, within 3 days, Imam alayhi salatu wasalam left this world. And when Imam was being left this world, his janaza and his coffin was put onto the streets of Baghdad. And people were screaming at that moment, Hada Imam al-Rafida. This is the Imam of Rafida. Fa'rifuhu. Let it be known. And they were disrespectful and disrespecting even the body of Imam at that time. And this is the musibah of Imam. Really, the musibah of Imam. One of the Imam, and I was reading through a text that said that Imam requested, and Imam had this in his wasiyah, that when I'm being buried, keep the chains that I'm wearing, keep the chains that I'm wearing in my neck, in my hand. And when I want to, and Imam wanted to say that when I want to meet my Nana Rasulullah, and when I want to meet my Dadi Janab Zahra, I want to show them that how the Ummah has treated Imam Musa bin Ja'far alayhi salatu wassalam. We pray to Allah Almighty that bihaqqa Imam Musa bin Ja'far, Babul Hawaij, Kadhimul Ghayth, alayhi salatu wassalam. May Allah fulfill our desires, and may Allah fulfill the desires of the management too, especially Mushtaq Bhai, and the Babul Ilm, and Iftikhar Bhai, and all those people, and Afshabaji, and everyone that is putting so much hard work, and also for my mother too. They are putting tremendous hard work for the betterment of society. And Babul Ilm too, and Bakrul Ulum Academy too. Obviously, I can see them working so hard in order for the people, in order for the children to get educated. And obviously, it's a request for all you guys that please remember them in your prayers. And also, if you can support them, here we don't need your support financially, as far as Bakrul Ulum is concerned. We need you to send your children so they can be educated. They can be educated about the seerah of Imam. They can be educated about the basic learning of Islam. And inshallah, we are conducting lectures that has to do with the history. Today was a historical lecture. And inshallah, the next lecture will be a fiqh lecture. So I would request all the parents that they should take the knowledge of the deen really seriously. You treat your children really well when it comes to all their material needs. I think it's a high time for us to also take care of their spiritual needs too. And with this, I end my lecture. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alihi tahirin.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
I have a few questions for Bilal and Jarry Haider.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
My first question is, what is the difference level of imams and prophets?
Sorry, what again? Can you repeat your question again?
What is the level of difference between the imams and the prophets?
Okay. It's a wonderful question. That what is the difference between a prophet and imam? Prophet is someone that brings the Sharia, that brings the teaching of Islam, the divine teaching of Allah. Prophet is responsible for bringing them and teaching it to the people. Imam is responsible for preserving it. So when Prophet brings it, obviously Prophet would not leave this world without appointing a successor that will take care and that will preserve the teachings that the Prophet has brought forward. Every Prophet from the time of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam till the time of Prophet Muhammad, every prophet that came in, they appointed a successor, so that successor can take care of the teachings that were being brought forward. So that successor is called Imam, who is responsible for taking care of the teachings. So someone who brings in is a Nabi, is a prophet, and someone who preserves is an Imam. Go ahead, next question.
So I have a follow-up question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What is the knowledge level, the difference between the knowledge levels?
Look, the difference is, it's hard for us to understand and comprehend that, right? The knowledge that Allah has given them is immense. Everything that you might need in your life and that you might come across in your life that has to do with anything, any problem that a normal person or lay person can have in their life, every prophet and Imam has the knowledge to deal with that. So there is no doubt that every prophet and Imam was being given this knowledge. What is the extent of this knowledge? We cannot say this. We don't have the precise knowledge of how much knowledge they have, right?
Jazakallah, Brother Jarry. Are there any more questions from the students? Please go ahead.
Look, if you would ask questions, it will not only be helpful to you, it would also be helpful to the other people that are listening it, the other students, and obviously the common person that's listening on the TV. It's all beneficial for everyone. So try to ask, and don't think any question to be like really basic or not relevant to the discussion. You can ask whatever question that you have in your mind, and inshallah, if I would know, I would answer. If I won't know, I will answer the next class. Right? So whatever question comes into your mind, anything about Imam Qadim specifically, if not, then about Ahl Bayt, if not, then any general question that you might have.
Why didn't the people at the time stand with Imam Qasim?
Imam Qadim alayhi salam. That's an excellent question, and that was one of the questions that I was thinking about too, to be honest, brother. Oh, what's your good name? Your name is Sajjad, right?
Yes.
Sajjad, that's a wonderful question, and I really thank you for asking this. And I would also like other students to ask some questions too. Look, brother, what happened is that I was also thinking about it. The Imam was being arrested 2 times in his life. One time in the time of Hadi, and the other time in the time of Harun al-Rashid. In the time of Mehdi and Harun al-Rashid. And when Harun al-Rashid obviously took him under the arrest, he was being arrested for around 4 years. Around 4 years, no one did anything. Why? Because the problem was that the people didn't have the courage to stand up. Why didn't they have the courage? Because they didn't have the right aqidah and they didn't have the right knowledge. When you are not morally strong, when you are not strong when it comes to the creed, obviously it wouldn't reflect upon your actions too, right? Imagine if you're not fully convinced with something, and if you're being told to do that thing, you would do it for the sake of maybe your parents, maybe for the sake of the teacher, maybe for the sake of anyone, or maybe just for your own benefit. You would do it once, you would do it twice, you do it thrice, but you won't continue that forever, right? So this was the problem that the Muslims of that time were incurring. They didn't have the right knowledge, they didn't have the right aqidah, they didn't have the right creed with them. And obviously, it was also reflecting the way they were acting with the people. Secondly, they had this misconception, and even today, if you go through the books of our Sunni brothers, you can clearly see that. And it's a little bit difficult answer for you to understand and for the people that are listening it, but I'm just mentioning it so that inshallah, if you would revisit the lecture, you can research it more on this topic. They have a concept that whatever bad thing a ruler does, whatever bad thing even they're doing, but we should still follow him to the letter and to the spirit of following. We should still follow him in all things that he is doing. We should never criticize him. We should never go against him. We should never resist him, right? We should just follow him because why? Because they have made fabricated a hadith that says that you have to follow the ruler and you have to respect him and you have to do whatever you can to help him. Why? Even if he's doing something wrong. This is the explicit text of the hadith. We Shias, we don't believe in these kind of hadiths. And obviously the Shias of that time were really in minority. Really, really minority, right? And someone who would, and the quote that I was going through, that it was easier for the people to be called non-Muslims than to be called Shias. Because Shias were being slaughtered so badly. They were being massacred so badly. They were being mistreated really badly. So it was difficult for people even to come and proclaim their support for Imam Qadim alayhi salatu wasalam, because they were in really, really minority, right? And Imam sometimes would ask her, she has to do taqiyya at some moments, right? So these were some of the reasons. We can go into those reasons more. It's a topic for the whole majlis. But these are some of the reasons that I believe were responsible that people generally at that time, they didn't support a lot. And obviously the Shias were really small in numbers. And even if they were in numbers, they were not as exemplary as they should have been, probably for whatever reason, a lot of reasons that we don't know. But it's a topic that we can discuss, inshallah.
Thank you very much.
So just for the information of students, I just wanted to ask you one thing, like Imam Musa Kazim al-Islam has emphasized a lot on, like, he has given us a dua on controlling our anger. So what is the correct way, as anger is a natural phenomena, so is there a correct way, advice in Islam to express our anger or at certain limits?
Yeah, it's a wonderful question, sister. As I have said, being angry is really common and it's really natural. A human being or a living being is being defined by his angriness. Even an animal gets angry, right? So being angry or feeling angry is natural. Allah has given this as a blessing, right? And Allah has said us to use that anger in the right way. Here, we're not saying for people to be passive and to be completely proactive. Here, we need to have a balance between our angriness. The only criteria, the only litmus test that you have to discern when you have to show your angriness and when you don't have to show your angriness is to ask your question, is this angriness of mine that's coming into my heart because of my own self-being, or is it because of Allah? If it's because of Allah, like if you would see people disrespecting the symbols of Islam, if you see people disrespecting Quran, disrespecting Ahlul Bayt, and at that time, if you're not feeling anger, obviously there's some problem in your iman, right? So being angry and putting in the right way is important. Obviously, even that time, you have certain ways that you have to express your angriness. You cannot be really random and you cannot be really rude when you're expressing it, but there is a way that you have to do it. But if you ask the question and the answer comes in that no, I'm getting angry for my own self because I'm not liking anything, and because I have some problem, because he has said me so and so, or because someone has done thing that is below my expectation, in that way this angriness is purely coming from your base desires, and at that moment you have to control that. And it takes time, obviously. For me too, I don't have this art of controlling anger properly. This anger management itself is a huge topic to discuss. I mean, like, it's not even a topic for 5 minutes. It's a topic that we can have and we can look into it more, and we can discuss it more in proper classes or in proper majalises. That what are some of the techniques that we can use, or what is the reason that we get angry, and what are the things that Imam alayhi salam have taught us to control our anger, right? But if it is because of our base desires, we need to control it. And one of the really good book that you can see even on alislam.org, that book is called Jami'ul Sa'adat by Mullah Naraqi. It's a beautiful textbook that they even use in Hausa, they even use in Islamic seminaries. And when you use it, it has a chapter of anger. So Maulana, the Allama, discusses the topic of anger, why people get angry, what are the reasons, how can we control it, and some other things that are relevant to it. And inshallah, we can learn more about it. If you want to learn more, you can just Google it out, and it will be really beneficial.
Jazakallah. Thank you.
One thing that I forgot to mention is that I have given the link to sister about the book that we can use for our reading. And that book is called Al-Irshad by Sheikh Mufid. That book is being translated into English, and the chapter of Imam Qadim alayhi salatu wasalam is roughly around 30 pages, maybe up or down. So if you get time, maybe down the week, for 2 weeks, you would have time. Even if you read 2 or 3 pages a day, you would be able to finish those pages within 10 days. And that would give you a lot of knowledge, because obviously we can't cover everything in given limited time that we have. So if you want to read more about it, you can go through it and you can learn more about the life of Imam.
Yeah, inshallah, I'll post the link in the group. If there are no more questions, we can just end the program with dua, brother.
Yeah, if someone can read dua, please. If there is no question, go ahead.
Everyone can unmute and please start reciting Dua Imam Zamana. I would request all the students to unmute, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma kulli waliyaka al-hujjat ibn al-Hasan صلواتك عليه وعلى في هذا الساعة وفي كل ساعة
وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه وروفك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى